Alright, so I'm going to go up here and find this worksheet for you guys that we talked about. And let me see if I can find it. Let's see where that thing is. Output status worksheet file here. Okay. So the output status worksheet file, what I would like for you guys to do, I'll zoom in a little bit, is basically number one, right? This is your number one question here. So you can either download this, you can copy and paste it, or you can just submit a Word document, right? And what I want you to do is, this is just telling us in this first column what kind of switch this is. All right, so this will normally close, push button. Then you got a open switch here, and it's a limit switch. All right, then it's a normally close limit switch right there. All right, normally open just switch, normally open push button. So it tells you like right here under each one what they are. Okay. So what she's asking, or what when Miss Tyson made this, what the she was asking to do is giving you a switch instruction. So this is the wired position, like this is how it would be wired if it was hooked up to something. Then you have the status, right? The status is where we go in and we monitor the tags. The tags are either on or off, right? If it's an XIC and it sees a 1, the tag is on. If it's an XIO and it sees a 1, the tag is off, right? Because the XIC instruction is examine if closed, all right? If it's closed, it should see a 1. If it sees a 0, then that means it is false, all right? So it's telling you here that with this closed, all right, and a status of 1, what should happen with the lamp? Should it be on or off? Okay, so the status is tied to the actual XIC itself here. So normally close push button, status of 1, XIC instruction here. What is the status of this output? It would be true / false, on / off. So the status of this lamp would be, drum roll please, true, right? Because if this is a 1 and we're using an XIC and there's nothing else in its path, then this would cause this to be a 1, which would also be true. So what I'm looking for in this lamp, or in this result here, is that it's true, it's on, and the status bit is a 1. All right. So outputs are not like XIC and XIO instructions. If the rung is true, meaning the whole rung, and the output on the rung is true, it's always going to be a 1. Okay? If the rung is false and the output is off, it's always going to be a 0. Alright, so in this case, we got a normally open limit switch. It's at 0. Okay? Now, we use an XIC, so we're examining if closed. If this normally open limit switch and the state it's in is at a status of 0, what that means is that this is at a false statement. Okay, so if this is false or at 0, then what is this? It is false. It is off, and it's a 0. All right. The XIO instruction here is just the opposite of what we just talked about with the XIC. In this case, she's used the same push buttons, it looks like to me, on this rung over here on the state as she did on the other one. All right, she looks like she even used the statuses, maybe the same, but I would double check them. You know, don't go by what I say. I'm just judging by what I just saw just then. So we've got a normally closed push button. So it has a status of a 1. All right. So on this status of 1, the input here would be an XIO instruction. If an XIO instruction has a status of 1, then it is false. Okay? Because the XIO instruction is actually looking for it to be open. And if it's open, it's false. I mean, if it's open, it's true. And if it's open, it's also going to see a 0. Okay? So on a XIO instruction, for it to be true, you have to have a 0 as the status. So in this case, with a closed switch and a status of 1, this input is not open, and it's examining for it to be open. So therefore, this lamp right here is false. Okay, and it's off, and it has a status of 1 or 0. All right. So the results we're looking for are the results of the output here, not the results of the input, the results of the output. So one more time, XIO instruction. You know it's XIO because it looks like a normally closed. If you know schematic wiring diagram, it looks like a normally closed contact. It's actually just a normally examine if open instruction. We've got a normally open limit switch here, right? We've got a status of 0, and then we've got an XIO instruction. So we're examining for it to be open. This instruction is examining the status of this switch here. All right. It's seeing that it's open. So what that means is this input instruction has a status of 0. So if this input instruction has a status of 0, then this output right here will be on and will be true. All right. So this would be true on 1. Okay. One more time. This is a normally closed switch here. All right. If it's a closed switch, then it's going to have a status of a 1. All right. If we choose an XIO instruction here, which we're examining for it to be open, not closed, then when it's closed, we're going to have a status of 1. Well, if we're looking for it to be open, which is what this input is doing here, this instruction is doing, then it's not open, right? Because it's closed. That means that this input is false. If this input is false, then this output will also be false. Okay? So the input's false, the output's going to be false. So therefore, we're going to have false off 0 for this one. I hope that clears some things up for you. That's all we're actually looking for you to do there. It's just to help you with the instructions, okay, and how the instructions work. All right. Let me know if you have any questions.